What's going on, Midlothian? We're live, Seaman City Chatter Podcast, coming to you from the Opolka Palace. We've got a full table tonight, but to my right, as always, John Opolka. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
Across the hall, across the street, the legendary Midlothian's finest, Mr. Tim Wilkins.
I tell you what, every time you introduce me, it gets better and better. And like one of these days, I might actually believe something you say.
Well, you know, I'm working on it.
Believe the hype, man. Believe the hype.
We got a couple guest hosts tonight. Of course, Midlothian ISD School Board President, the OG, Tami Tobey. How's it going?
Good. Glad to be here. Oh, gosh.
And to my left, the honor, the legendary Sergeant Hames Marshall.
That is my new stage name. That's it, man.
Nah, Captain America, Officer Chris Douglas. So, I don't know, man. What did it feel like when you first saw that somebody was posing using your...
I mean, you pretty much knew that you had to be the best looking cop
And
that
that's
there
what I
was
said.
in the city because they used your picture, right?
I put that. I said, whoever the scammer was, what they did was they went to the Midlothian Police Department website, started looking at all the pictures, and just was like, pick the best looking guy.
He was like,
He looks like a Hames Marshall.
He has a
Sergeant.
trustworthy face,
Right? Yeah. You know what? At first, I thought it was I thought it was a joke because the officers on duty. I was working. I was on my lunch break, and they texted me the picture of it, and I looked at it, and I'm like, "Is this a joke?"
Tammy, did you
But
see
cops
this?
never
I
joke,
know-
right?
You don't know what he's talking about?
I have no
Okay, so
idea.
tell what happened. For y'all that don't know.
What happened? Somebody actually. This scam has been. It's nothing new. The scam has existed for years. Where
And
people will actually.
this is serious.
This is very serious. So hopefully somebody learns something from this. So the scam is these individuals, these scammers will call people and say, for instance, I'm officer, in this case, Hames Marshall with Midlothian Police Department. Say I'm calling you, and you show to have an active warrant out for your arrest. And the person's like, what? Oh, I can't believe this. How did this happen? Well, I'll tell you what. If you don't want to go to jail, you need to wire me or in some kind of fashion, send me X amount of dollars right now.
And this was Walmart
And
gift
we'll-
cards in this case, right?
She wired like Western Union,
MoneyGram or whatever,
something
Walmart.
like
Yeah,
that,
go to
'cause they're
Walmart.
usually like in most of the time like other countries, if not
Yeah.
just other states. So this time, this was actually a new one for me. I've seen this, like I said, this scam for years, and people, it's like throwing a bunch of spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks kind of deal. Most people aren't going to fall for it, but you still have some individuals. Right. Usually, your elderly are going to be the main victims, unfortunately, and even some younger folks. Like I'm talking teenagers who are just getting established as adults, kind of deal. So he actually went as far as to send her his police credentials, which had my picture.
Using air quotes, police
Yes.
credentials.
No.
Yeah, that he took right off of our PD's website and used my picture, but didn't even bother to use my name. Used a whole nother.
Yeah, changed the
even
name.
gave me a promotion, so
Wow.
to sergeant.
And it even said
Hames Marshall.
No, and then they wrote, signed by Police Chief Carl
it says
Smith,
Chief Carl Smith,
but
the
it was not.
signature,
It was
says
not Carl.
like Douglas Garrison or something. So it doesn't even
Yeah,
say Carl
it was
Smith.
not
So a lot
Chief
of red
Smith's
flags on it.
signature.
It didn't even have the MPD's logo. It had some generic security guard looking logo. But anyway, she looked at it and fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, and unfortunately wired him the money, and now she's out thousands of dollars. So
that's
anybody and everybody watching, please know that no agency anywhere that I'm aware of, law enforcement, IRS, nobody's going to call and say you need to pay something over the phone, especially if they say you have a warrant, because now it's too late. You should have paid whatever it was
Yeah,
prior
you've got
to it going to warrant.
You got to,
So
at minimum, you got to come in and walk through and pay.
yeah, officer, take you before a magistrate kind of deal in a lot of cases, but no agency is ever going to do that. So please educate your young ones, educate your elderly, your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents,
It's
whoever.
sad that
And-
they do target the elderly too.
And I hate
it-
that.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't-
terrible.
That makes me so
stand
so
that.
mad.
Yeah. So,
Well, and just like these other, just like other scams, where they pretend they're from your bank or from Amazon.
AT&T.
Right.
Matter of fact, this same individual, people filed complaints that it was the same individual who the day prior claimed he was from Amazon.
Right.
And we're trying to get people like a whole account thing, and
But
Yeah,
you
but you
can
said
always.
it's a rabbit hole. You guys can't find them, or
most of the time, a lot of these folks can't. If they can be found, it's like a lot of times
It's out of your
like I said,
jurisdiction.
It's not just out of our jurisdiction, not even in our country.
country.
right.
Yeah, they may have wired that money.
Pretty much, just same way these individuals will spoof calls where, say, if I called you, it'll show up Midlothian Police Department. We had quite a few of these year before, about 2 years ago, and people were getting calls and it says Midlothian Police Department. Hey, I'm Officer so-and-so, same scam. You got warrants, you need to pay right now. My previous agency, it was like that. We had a certain set time.
Right.
All of a sudden, it just started happening, and it lasted for months.
Right. And one of the ways people can fight that, whether it's somebody claiming to be from your bank or the police department or whatever, is to hang up and look up the published number for
Correct.
that entity. Like if they're saying they're from your credit card, look on the back of your card, call that number to find out if this person's legit.
Exactly.
And usually they're not, right? And so the police department has a non-emergency number that you can call and ask, hey, I'm getting this call from whoever it is, and they'll be able to tell you whether it's legit or not.
Correct.
Plus, I've never
Absolutely.
heard of the police department calling you to let you know you got a warrant. And
Yeah, we just like to show. Like to be a surprise.
Yeah.
But
that either happens when you get pulled over, or if it's a crime bad enough, they've got warrant executioners that'll go get you.
correct. We actually have a warrant service team that's brand new now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good grief.
crazy
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
crazy week. You've been blown up.
Yeah, but again, I'm
But of
at
all
least
the
flattered
people
and
to
grateful
pick,
that at least grateful he gave me a promotion.
Our
but the most
community,
publicly recognizable.
I always
Yeah.
get your title. I always mess up your title. Community
outreach officer.
Community outreach
Yeah,
officer.
something like
The one officer that's everybody knows is
Like nobody
in the
knows
most
his
public.
title. He's just the guy that drives the cool car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But everybody
Or
knows.
the other guy that drives the cool car in some cases.
So we got Tami Tobey in here with us, and I'm excited to have you. She is running for re-election, but unopposed. Let's see, you ran in.
So is she really running if she's
not running?
unopposed? Yeah.
So what happened was
Thank
in
goodness.
2020, that was the year. It was a presidential election year.
3 years ago.
I believe we had about 22,000 people
total votes.
that showed up to vote in that election. And I think you had a couple opponents, and you walked away with 15,000 of the 20 votes. So
Yeah,
I guess nobody.
She got enough votes to not trigger a runoff.
Exactly.
Which, in Midlothian,
That says a
honestly,
lot.
most three-way or more elections go to runoff.
Right.
Most of them do.
Well, thanks.
So, and on top of that, you are the OG, and I say that as in exactly what I mean. The OG school board trustee, and you are the current sitting president. So.
The longest sitting trustee, and
Yeah.
the president
That's
of the
hard to
school board.
believe, right? Only 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm still.
Yeah.
And you've probably had quite the week.
Yes.
so far.
It has been eventful.
I mean,
so I
it's
heard
been
there
qui-
was
it's been
something
quiet.
going on.
Right, there's something going on. It's been quiet, but I mean, this week's probably been pretty loud for you.
Yes, it has. It's been very eventful. And yes, the calendar was, the talk of the town, I hear.
The talk of the town
Yes.
for sure. Sure.
I
Yes.
still don't understand why all of a sudden after 100 years we're changing. I mean, why it's needed to be changed. But then again, I'm not a teacher, and I don't know.
You know how the answer
job.
to everything is money? The answer to this is not money. Okay, you want to retain teachers, you want to recruit teachers, pay them a ton of money. But I mean, society's already decided we're not going to do that.
So
So we have to find
Tami's
other
here.
ways
She's
to-
the expert. I mean,
No, that's true.
I
yeah.
know you.
Well, you know what? I don't think it's always the money because I'll tell you right now.
No,
I
it's not always
personally
the money, but-
have known and spoke with six, off the top of my head, six teachers since last summer. So not even a year that have left teaching.
Right.
And again, this blows my mind. Left teaching, and all six have become officers.
Wow.
I'm like,
Well, you
left
get
teaching
paid better
to go
you just
into
get
law
shot
enforcement.
at too.
Yeah, well, taking to somebody who's been shot at several times, it's not,
Yeah.
what it's cracked up to be. So I just, man, I was blown away by that, to leave teaching and go into law enforcement. So
Well, that should give some
mean,
truth to the fact that, teaching is not for the faint of heart.
exactly. At least we get to carry tasers.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
So how did all this start, Tami? I mean, I guess let's back up. You guys sent out how did that work? You sent out kind of just a generic questionnaire. Wasn't a vote, but what?
No, when you say you guys,
Okay, yeah, maybe
clarify.
maybe you did it.
Yeah, who did it?
define
Who
that.
originated
Clarify that.
this?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to back up
And I don't want to get too much, but I think a lot of people don't understand what your guys' jobs are to begin with.
That's where I was going.
So let's start there.
So we don't work at the district.
Right.
We are volunteers. We are elected volunteers, and yes, we do have an ear to the community. We are basically the liaison to the administration. Like if they want to know, we're their liaison to the community, because most of us have also lived here for quite some time. But, the survey was not, it's not like they come to us and ask us, do we want them to do a survey? That's part of their job. We, it's a very fine line between, the school board casts a vision and a strategic plan for the district as a whole. But then we give the administration the autonomy through the superintendent's leadership to accomplish what our vision is,
Right.
whatever way they feel. Now, I will tell you, I did a little research on my own once that survey went out, because of course we as trustees started getting calls immediately saying, "What are
Did
y'all
you guys
doing?"
know the survey was going out?
No, and we normally wouldn't know that survey's going out, because we leave that up to kind of the HR department and the committee that's going to put out the surveys. And I know that in the past, as Ms. Dawson had said, the community got used to us giving them 3 options,
Right.
2 and 3 options. I think for the 6 years I've been here, we've put out a couple of calendar options and let people vote. Now, the one thing I will say is we didn't always just go with what got the most votes, believe it or not. A lot of times there was 1 or 2 years where it was like a 49-51 split, and so then we really just took a close look at it and said, what's more beneficial to the teachers and the students in this situation? Because there were a couple of years like parents like this one better, and then the teachers like this one better, and vice versa. So there was some oversight on our part to say, hey, here's what we want to do. This year, no, I'll be 100% honest, we didn't realize they were going to put that out. Part of the reason, though, that a lot of districts originally wanted to put their foot in the water and go into the 4-day week was for teacher retention. A lot of the rural districts have a really tough time getting teachers in their areas. And
So this pertains to teacher retention to the industry,
Yeah.
not necessarily teachers going to other districts, teachers going
It
to
can
do
be both.
other things.
We would do
can
it
be
for
both.
us.
It can be both, but that original issue really, and that's why you see the first ones to do it were a lot of the smaller schools. But it was 2 things. It was not only teacher retention, it was also the cost. Transportation costs. A lot of people thought, gosh, if we'll go to 4 days, we'll have lower costs as far as transportation, electricity on that. I mean, there was a lot of things, right? But if you look, I think for most of the districts, that savings was very nominal,
Yeah.
because there's so many things that still have to go on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Even if there's no school, we have, we have sped kids that might need services that day. We've still got to get food out to our students. So lots of those districts didn't see that cost savings, and whatever they did get, it was very nominal. So we were not aware that the survey was going out. I wouldn't have, honestly though, I think if they would have asked us, hey, we're going to put a survey out to see how our district feels about this, I probably wouldn't have been hugely opposed, because to me, a survey is for feedback and input into what we're going to put out there.
Yeah, but maybe just a heads up, because you guys take the brunt of everything, though.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. We have a relatively new group. I'm the OG at 6 years. We have a new superintendent who's been there 18 months, almost 2 years now.
Yep.
And I've got to say, her and her admin team are doing phenomenal. And the other thing I want to say, maybe I want to put this out there, because a lot of people say, oh gosh, they're so admin heavy. One of the things we did last year in our budget workshops was they cut 17 positions from administration and I think it was a cost savings of about $700,000, which I love to see that. And so when we talked to them about, hey, why was this so fast? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? Well, we don't have near the staff that we used to have in some of those departments. So when that survey came back with a huge, yes, we want a 4-day week, we had to get on top of it. We had to say, hey, is this really, can we do it? Is it possible to actually do that? And so, they went to work on that. And what we got, if y'all watched the meeting the other night, I thought it was very informational. And, another thing I want to point out, a lot of people, they will ask us questions about it, like once the survey goes out, but we hear the information as you guys do. There's no backroom meetings. There's no, hey, let's figure out what we're doing before we get out there. We really work hard to make sure that in the open meetings, they present all the information so the public and everyone gets the information just like we do. So the questions and things you're getting, they're all genuine. And they're raw, and I appreciate that. I don't want it to look like we come out there and the answer's already, or the decision's already been made. So.
Right. I've seen some of the accusations thrown wildly around about, how the school board doesn't care and the school board doesn't listen and this, that, and the other. And, for people who know you guys, I mean, you guys are constantly on the phone with teachers and parents and constituents, or the Tiffany's that are only tax involved, right, as she likes to say. So yeah.
So I mean,
why?
But
picking
what?
on Tiffany?
But
Because she's not here.
just like we talk about the city council and the misconceptions of what their job really is, and like for example, getting phone calls about why don't we have this and this?
Why don't we
town,
have more
this and
chicken
this town,
places?
This and this.
We
town.
need more fried
well,
chicken.
it's because those people haven't petitioned to put a business there. If you want to put a skateboard shop in town, by all means, get it together, go to the city, and present it to them. Let them vote on it.
You're hearing it now. Rob is putting a skateboard shop
But
in town.
Next to a Chipotle.
they don't just say, hey, this is what we want. So that's a city council misconception. So just for me, and I guess
His edification.
dumb it down. What do you guys do?
Talk real
What
slow.
does the school board do?
Every time.
Yeah. Well, our primary job is to set a budget each year for the district. And really the two main things that we have any control over is the hiring of superintendents and then the oversight of those folks. There's very few on the school board that have a background in education. I think, Holly was one of the great additions, and I will say she was a great asset because she's been on the other side of the table for so long. And a lot of times she could talk to us as board members and say, well, here's how it works, because I'm an insurance person. I have a store.
You've never been a teacher.
I've never been a teacher.
But you've never pretended to be a teacher.
Never.
Either, so.
No, that is not my thing. I love teachers, though. I was one of those kids that, teachers saved my life and changed the trajectory of my life. I mean, literally, I had 3 siblings, and they did. They saved me, because people always go, well, why would you even do the school board?
Yeah,
well,
how'd you get into this?
It's for me, it's a pay it forward. It's a pay it forward.
How'd you get in?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know you, 6 years ago when you first ran. So, I mean, what made you run in the first place?
Well, it was teachers. I had been involved with, like I said, the Education Foundation is what first drew me in. And I had 4 kids, that were going to come into the district. And I said, I got to do my part. And I wanted to be engaged. And I will just tell you, one of the things that's critical for us to get the most out of our kids' education and whatever public school they go to is to have a great partnership with the district.
Right.
We don't want to do it without the parents, that's for sure. We need them to come along and partner with us. But I had worked in the Education Foundation for quite some time, helped get that started. And I just saw at the time lots of teachers leaving back 7, 8 years ago. And it started to bother me. I'm like, why are they leaving our district? And this was before there was COVID and the big exodus, right?
Right.
And so when I started talking to them, that it was the same thing, some told you, Well, years left to go. I still can't. I can't fathom what you said that they went to be a police officer.
Yeah.
But most of the time it was because they didn't feel valued. They didn't feel, and not just by the administration, you guys. It was a lot to do with parents too. They were like,
Yeah.
we need to know that these parents value what we're doing and the time we're spending with their kids. So I just decided, and I'd been a lot involved in the economic development stuff in Midlothian, and it, as a business owner, it became clearer with each year of service that, man, the school is what drives the economics in this town. Through my husband's insurance business, everybody that came in was like, well, what brought you to Midlothian? And
The
it was
schools.
always the
The
schools.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what got me to run for school board.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I want to get on there and do a little more. I don't know what that looks like. At the time, I had no idea what the job as a school board member was. But to go back to the other thing you asked, too, about what is our job. We listen a lot. We listen to the complaints of parents, teachers. And, you know, and we just listen. And truly, 9 times out of 10, what we do is we direct them to the appropriate administrative level. You know, as with any organization, and the school's one of the biggest employers and organizations in our city, there is a chain of command. And to get things changed and solved, we're like, listen, you need to go back to your principal, or you need to go back to the HR department. And there is a process, though, so you guys know, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, there is a complaint process for the district.
Yeah,
it's called
and
the
it's not,
grievance process.
and it's not.
You walk up and
I get phone calls.
Like, it's
hey,
take a
give
number
me,
and
give
it's
me
attached to a
such and
grenade
such
pin.
school board trustee's phone number.
Yeah.
Okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
No, they put my son in the hall. Like, what's Gary or Tammy or what are they going to do about it?
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's okay, you know, just like I got on there and didn't really know what the job was. It takes a little while to understand it, but we usually just help provide them with the appropriate avenue to go down. A lot of times, though, we do have to tell people, listen, I can't get overly involved in whatever your complaint or issue is, because the grievance process, what that does is it gives them several different levels at the administration level and through the campus level to get it solved. Now, the last leg of that is if they're not happy with level 1, level 2, it comes to the board, and we do have to basically rule on whatever it is. And so I, a lot of times, have to say, I'm happy to listen, but I need you to move through this chain so that at the end of the process, if you're not happy, I can sit up there and say that I can make a fair judgment, and that I haven't been unfairly informed of the situation.
Follow
So
the process.
Now, along
yeah,
the
and
same
there's
note
and there's
of
laws of those
misconceptions-
grievances.
what's that? I'm sorry.
Along the same note of misconceptions, how much do y'all get paid?
Oh, it's very rewarding, but not in the way of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you get a small stipend per meeting? Because like the city council gets like $60 a meeting.
Oh,
you
no.
know, so
Yeah,
there's-
I asked you that
No.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do feed us, though. We usually
You
have
get
Aramark.
snacks.
Yeah, we
get
get
snacks.
We get
Oh,
fed.
man, I'm gonna run now. Shit, food? Well, the only reason
Yes.
I asked that is because, again, it's another misconception how many people have come up to us, especially, you know,
Mm-hmm.
working in community outreach, that people want to vent and say, hey, you know, whether it be the school board or city council or whatever, and you know, I'm surprised that so many people think y'all get paid, you know, relatively big bucks. And I'm like, that's not the case, you know. So I think, in my personal opinion, y'all doing that to, like you said, want to pay it forward and make a change, you know, speaks volumes for your passion for the city and the schools and the children. So
Now, the
thank you.
administration can get paid an awful lot. But then again, like you look at their pay being commensurate with the size of a quote company that they're running. You know, MISD is the largest employer in the city, period, by a large margin.
Right.
And so if you said that the largest employer in the city, the CEO made $300,000 a year, you'd be like, okay, that's not a ton of money. I mean, it's like a lot of money, but it's not a ton of money, especially given, you know, that they're all doctorates and that sort of thing. You know, and that's roughly how much our superintendent gets paid.
Well, I worry about that, and I don't want to get off on like a teacher pay tangent or anything, you know, but I worry about that because let's take the year 1 teacher, just got out of college, got her degree, kindergarten, first grade, second grade teacher, whatnot. You know, I don't know exactly what that pays, but for instance, my niece, Lonnie's daughter, just got graduated. She's teaching out in East Texas. With the interest rates the way they are, to buy a home today, and even the rent in Midlothian for just anything, at some point, do you think that less and less people, like the first and second graders today, there'll be less and less that strive to be teachers as a profession? I mean,
it's going to definitely make it harder for them if that pendulum doesn't swing back in the other direction, whether it be teachers or, law enforcement, firefighters, medics, first responders in general, those types of categories. I believe, again, this is just my personal opinion, that you do these types of jobs, you have these careers because it's a passion.
Right.
You obviously do not do it for the
To
paycheck.
get rich, yeah.
Because I'll show you my paycheck, and I've been officer almost
Your
20 years.
paycheck
but
is
you know
public
what?
record.
But
So just for anybody who doesn't know this, you can file a FOIA to get. They will actually release all the salaries for the entire department.
But you can only
But,
pay
yeah.
teachers
And
based on teachers get paid from our tax dollars. Is that how that works?
Correct.
So if
It goes up to the state first and then comes back.
right, so if teachers were to be paid more, obviously it would take more cash from tax dollars, et cetera,
Property
et cetera.
taxes.
I mean, at some point, this has to level out, or we're going to end up 50 years from now without a with nobody that wants to be a teacher.
Sure.
That's what I'm afraid of.
How well do you think raising property taxes is going to go over?
Yeah.
We have some of the lowest property taxes by percentage in Midlothian. Now, the valuations of the houses are high, so it appears like we have, quote, high taxes. And it's certainly the dollar amount that we're paying out is a lot. But, our percentage rate, we actually have low taxes in Midlothian, percentage-wise. And so, to pay the teachers more, and school finance is complicated, and I'm preaching to the choir with her here for
Right.
sure. But, the state actually has a huge control over how the money is budgeted, and so the money for teachers comes out of one bucket, the money for like paying bonds for school buildings comes out of another bucket, and that sort of thing. So we can't just decide, like Tami can't one day decide, like, you know what, we need to give all of our teachers a 50%
Right,
raise.
yeah.
You just can't. Like that money comes from the state, and it's controlled very tightly. So
Well, and there's also, just so you guys know, there's one other thing a lot of people aren't aware of, and that is that Midlothian ISD is one of the only, I think there may be one, maybe two other districts where we give you $20,000 off the top, off your value. So if your house is worth $170,000, we're going to tax you at $150,000. Yeah, we knock $20,000 off. The other thing is that the way teachers get paid is very different than you and I, because what they have is they have these bands of experience.
Yeah.
So if it's like let's say 1 to 5, and then 6 to 10, and the reason that is because across the state there has to be. What do you call it? If you move districts, you go from whatever band you are experienced to that band. So you don't start over. Like if I've taught
you
10
lateral
years,
over.
Yeah.
yes, you
Yeah.
lateral. So if
Yeah.
you're a 10-year teacher in Mansfield, you come over here, you're considered a 10-year teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
because your retirement is from the state.
Yes, and so that there's a lot of things that even go into the employment side for teachers. So, but yeah, guys, I'm going to be one of the biggest proponents there ever was for teachers. Like I said, I gave you a little bit of the background. I mean, I just think it's their job, like the police officers. We are asking them to do more and more and more constantly. You guys are asked to prevent suicides on the side of the bridge.
Marriage counselors,
marriage
discipline children,
counselors,
yeah.
and so and post-COVID just elevated that. And people, I remember back when we had a lot of people come into public comment, and they're like, you can't teach social and emotional learning. Well, those kids come to us, guys, with some incredible issues, and you can't teach them math until you show that child and convince them that you as a teacher care about them and that you love them and that they're safe at school. And so, that whole calendar thing was really, really tough because, I'd love to give teachers anything and everything they want. But for me,
You can't bankrupt the district either.
Well, you can't. And the other thing is we've got to be able to financially do what we're asking for. And for me, and I'll give this to you guys. I said it at the board meeting the other night. for me, being a layperson, one of the first things I learned about coming on the board was, hey, there's a thing called summer slide. And, we have to, when those kids come back to us the next year, we got to reteach a lot of stuff because they've forgotten it over the 3 months of
Well,
summer.
that's why they don't let Aggies take too long during the summer, because it takes too long to re-educate them when they get back, right?
Oh, gosh, yes. Okay. But anyway, so they teach us about summer slide, and then we got to learn all about COVID gaps and how harmful it was for kids not to be in the classroom during COVID. And our federal and state government spent millions, maybe billions of dollars helping us get over those gaps.
But you know what? Back to that the COVID gap. I mean, you say harmful. Look, for my kids, it was extremely harmful. 2 years. Well, how long was it? 2 years or one school year?
It was like a year and a half, I think, total, something.
Yep.
Well,
total.
the whole time that they were home, I mean, look, of course, I'm dealing with dyslexia, attention deficit disorder, etc. I mean, I could work from home. They're my kids. Look at me. I mean, tell you all there is to know. I go to work every day because I can't work at home. I have to physically go somewhere in order to focus and get something done. I could stay at home and not get dressed and do everything I need to do in a day from home.
Price is Right.
And my kids are the same way. And you know what? They suffered. They had nobody to ask questions to. I mean, my wife did the best she could, but again, she's not a teacher. I was really glad when they went back. And I think, as far as, I can't speak for everybody else, but my sons, they suffered.
Well, in that same avenue, though, the point of what I was saying is we've been taught about those things because we're not educators. And so for me, when the whole 4-day calendar thing came out, I'm like, wait a minute. We're talking about summer slide, we're talking about COVID gaps, but now we want to say it's better for kids to have 3-day weekends every single week. I just want to know, as a non-educator person, which is that? Is it? I mean, and it's different for every family. Just like you said, Rob. I had 4 kids. 2 of my kids thrived in COVID. It was crazy. They love doing it online. They love sitting in their pajamas.
Was one of
doing
your
their
sons
homework.
valedictorian?
No, he was
Salutatorian?
third.
Oh,
He was
third.
third.
Okay, all right. Well,
But-
he was he the class president? Is that what
Yes.
it was? Okay, all right. Because
Yeah.
I remember he graduated with my daughter.
Okay.
And so I was at the graduation
Yeah.
watching him speak, give a speech. So yeah.
He's pretty special. He has a twin brother, so they're a hoot together. But
I bet.
it just goes to show you, though, again, teachers have a rough job because they have to teach the gamut of those. And I'll tell you the other thing for me on the whole calendar thing, and then we'll get off to something else if that's okay. Sorry.
Absolutely, but that's a hot topic. We had
is.
we had to get on it.
It is. And we talked to lots of parents, and a ton of parents really wanted the 4-day week. They're like you. They work from home. That gives us more time with our kids, and a lot of them are saying, "Oh, it gives us more time to vacation and go away with them." And,
Oh, heaven forbid you get the possessory parent thing with divorces because that causes one of the parents to have more time with their kids.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so you hear that side of it, but then I'll just tell you, I think we have somewhere around 25, 26% socio and economically disadvantaged kids, which I would have fallen in that category. And the thing that broke my heart was those parents, they're calling, and you've got the 75%, they're so excited to have an extra vacation day. And then you've got the 26% saying, we don't know how we're going to do this. How are our kids going to get fed that day? We don't have enough money to make ends meet now, and we've got to pay now for childcare.
What's the mandatory school lunch thing called? Is that Title I?
Title I.
Are we Title I?
No, we are
Okay.
not at the moment. No.
Okay.
So, last question before we get off the calendar. Aren't you guys? Isn't the schools we have to do so many days per the state regulations?
Minutes.
No.
It's
Or-
Down to the minute.
Yeah.
So when you have a snow day and you either got to make that up or you get a free, some buffer days in there, and if you use those up, then you have to make it up.
Yeah.
Okay. So by taking away that many Fridays on the calendar, are we just extending?
They extend the other days by like 15 minutes to make up for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because it's down to the minute, huh?
Yeah.
It's down
You
to the
stay at
minute.
school an extra 15 minutes a day.
They changed it to minutes a few years ago. Like when I was in school, that was 50 years ago or whatever, but it used to be by the days, and the school had to send, like, if the school was open for 3 hours, it counted as a full day. And so snow makeup days would be 3 hours, and the kids would be sitting around doing nothing. Or, they would open on a day and then just they're in there for 3 hours and then shut down so they can get credit for a day. So the minute thing actually might be a little better on the kids, because they can extend a day 15 minutes, get that credit, and not have to have them come in for partial days when they could otherwise just take the whole day.
And those days are built into the minutes that we're going to get. So those are still in there, even with the extra days that we're going to have off.
Yeah.
So all this growth in town, and thank you.
Thanks. I love this place.
Talking to this,
we call this Old Polka Palace for a reason, man. We all feel like royalty when we're here.
I can't remember which one of either the councilmen or candidates for city council, when they were in here, we were talking about the growth, And
All of them?
All of them. And too, I mean, you are community keeper. So the neighborhoods that are going in, you see all the building, so obviously we're gonna outgrow the current infrastructure of elementary, middle, junior, whatever they are, middle schools and whatnot.
And that's why we're trying to build new schools, right?
Right. So what's fill me in before we just discuss the bonds. What is on the bonds?
Well,
is it laid out already? Pretty much.
She literally has it laid out.
Oh wow!
I was going to say, what? We just did a meeting with Dr. Fay on our Ministry Alliance monthly meeting, and they hosted us at the Mile, and she did a phenomenal job laying out everything. I mean, there was so much information that I wasn't aware of, and I'm like, wow, we're growing a lot faster than I thought, but having everything in place that she explained.
I'm sure this was a talking point, but I had a similar meeting with
what's the
Dr.
rule?
Bland. But this year, we had an enrollment increase of 600.
Yep.
For this year over last.
Yeah.
600 kids.
What's the rule about discussing bonds? You were saying, Tim.
Oh well, really, there's only 2 people from the school that can speak publicly about it, that are involved with the school, that can speak officially, and that's the superintendent, which is Dr. Fay, and the president of the school board,
which we have. So
yes,
we can talk bonds.
I can talk facts. I can't really talk.
She cannot advocate. I'm just laying this out. I'll advocate.
This is Tim, her legal counsel here.
Yes.
She cannot advocate for the bonds. And
okay, Johnny Cochran.
So what happens? Just so everybody understands the process.
Does not fit.
Right.
He must have quit.
I'm waiting for the moment he's like.
Yeah. So there's the bond process. Citizens are involved at the beginning. It goes in front of the school board to approve what bonds are presented to the public, and then the public votes on it. Now, anybody with the school can't advocate for the bonds. That's legislation that prevents that. So what happens is the school creates and funds a PAC, a political action committee, that can advocate for the bonds. So the PAC is made up of people that you may know. I mean, just they're citizens and things like that. And so you'll see people advocating for the bonds, telling you to vote yes for the bonds. Those people are not officially part of the district. So.
And those are not taxpayer dollars.
Right.
The PAC is usually funded by donations, outside donations.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So. But yes, one of the things I'll just tell you guys, because living here for 25 years, I've served on a couple of those growth management committees, and I've participated. So has my husband, and I will tell you, a lot of the rumor mill after you serve on those is, they already knew what they were going to do, and I was just well,
in the past, so to defend the people who aren't always happy with bonds and things like that. Sometimes in the past, the schools have asked for, let's just say, some luxuries that maybe some people didn't want to pay for.
Well, and that was, and I want to say that to brag on this committee, because that was the thing. And a lot of times there were lists of things, and you would be like, okay, is that really a necessity or is it a luxury, as Tim said?
On the list of things that we did not ask for as a school district, Performing Arts Center a natatorium. Those were two of the bigger ones. So
Yes. So I did not go to these meetings. I went to one of the very last ones just to see an overview of what was going to come to us. But many people, without me asking or without me soliciting, called and said, "Oh my gosh, this was the best, most grassroots organized growth management committee we've ever been a part of." Like literally, everybody had input. It was organized by tables. You really felt like they were hearing you, and everyone was engaged. And the stuff that showed up here in front of us was what came from the community,
Right.
And truly was. And I'll tell you the other thing I love about the way they laid it out in the past also. A lot of times they don't give you 3 propositions. It's, it's all or nothing. Or,
right.
you may have 2 propositions, but both of them have a few things in there that it's like,
Yeah.
what do they call it? The
They're
legislative process?
Oh yeah, well they want
pigeonholing, or I don't know.
Right.
There's a
Well,
word.
yeah. I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
like the line item veto is the
Yes.
counter to that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But you're right. The way they structured this, unless you're just against all bonds for any reason, or just there's something about the school that you don't like or whatever, they really structured this in a way that it communicates, hey, A is super important, like Proposition A, which is new elementary schools, the Career and Tech Education Center, land acquisition for future schools, and the Midlothian High. I'm reading right off her page here, but so it's all these like super important basic expansion things. These are literally creating seats for butts at this point, all in Proposition A. Proposition B, nice to have. Proposition C, cool, but Proposition A is structured with all the things that the district desperately needs to have a seat to put a butt in. Otherwise, we're scrambling, buying portables out of the same bucket of money that we pay teachers, by the way.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's correct.
So what do we got on the bonds? They're to do what?
Well, the first one's like he would just said. It's to keep up with the growth,
Yeah.
to expand some of our
But it's not specifically for this school, that school, that school.
It
It's
is.
just
It is. It is specific, and I
You wanna
can.
see?
Yeah. You can read it there. You can read it off to the listeners or whoever. But A has very specific plans for named schools in there, and there's also the land acquisition. The most generic non-named thing in there is something that says land acquisition, and that's actually for a 3rd high school. So if you can imagine that at some point, somewhere in the future, that we're going to need a 3rd high school.
Yeah.
we are.
But
I think a lot of
when
people
do you
don't
think
realize
when
there's
do you
parts of
think-
Grand Prairie that
People know that we're growing fast, but I don't think they realize how
Right,
rapidly
right.
that growth is.
But-
just
but
think
if
that
you
we've
said-
doubled our population in the last 5 years.
But MISD
Oh,
You know,
isn't
most
just
people don't know that.
Midlothian.
Yeah.
People don't realize there's part. So
We've
correct me if I'm
quadrupled it
wrong.
in
Is
7
there
or 8
not
years.
part of Grand Prairie
Yes.
that headed out towards Mansfield?
Well, not just
Yeah, and
that part. On the other
Waxahachie,
side, we got
yeah.
Waxahachie. We've got I think what is it?
Ovilla.
Ovilla,
The
we've got
ISD
other-
goes well out in all
Right.
directions.
Yeah.
Past
You
the
can have a
city.
Grand Prairie address and actually
Yeah.
be
And
Look at
Yes.
McClatchy. McClatchy is a prime example, elementary, that a lot of those students don't reside within city limits, so to speak, but have their address says one thing,
Right.
but they go to school here.
Right.
in our
But
city,
but if
so-
you say, okay, we're going to need a new high school, do you want to buy the land now where there are, and you're going to need 100+ acres, right? Right now, there are some 100+ acre plots out there, okay? And whatever you think of the price of land now, because you looked at it 5 years ago and think it's bad, what do you think it's going to be in 10 years from now? And what do you think it's going to be buying a 100+ acre plot 10 years from now? So part of this bond is to acquire land specifically for a 3rd high school while we can still afford the land, so to speak.
Okay, if we pass A and C, that will still be no tax impact.
That's correct. And the reason that is because our bonding capacity is right at, I believe, 385 million. And so A plus what you show over there on C will still not exceed that.
Basically, and that would be just minus the storm shelters.
So the deal on the storm shelters, the state passed legislation. Every new school has to have a storm shelter. Now, the storm shelter, you can look to the state to define what that is, but basically every new school has to have a storm shelter. And any school that you expand or modify has to be retrofit with a storm shelter. So, in order to, I think Frank Seal is one of the schools that under Proposition A would be expanded. They have to build a storm shelter for Frank Seal in addition to the actual expansion.
Do you sit at home and read this stuff, or is it just knowledge?
Okay, so this Proposition A, B, and C altogether, $415,944,300.
I ask a lot of questions.
2.6 cent tax rate impact, and or $5.54 a month.
Now, the district has a button at the very top of their website, and it's actually got a calculator. So if you know what your ECAD value is, you can go to the website and scroll down to that tax calculator, and it'll tell you, based on your house, what that increase would be also.
So what's the $5.54 a month impact based on?
I knew you were going to ask, and I don't recall.
So
Do you
it's
have
based on a $350,000
Okay.
house, which is the median for
Okay.
Midlothian.
Okay.
So if you have a $700,000 house, just double that. It's easy math.
I mean, we're talking. I mean, that's not a lot of money.
I mean, that's a visit to Starbucks.
I mean, that's
or
not a lot of
that's
money to.
McDonald's.
I mean,
It's a-
no,
it's
I'll probably
McDonald's
get
meal.
shot driving down Main Street tomorrow. You got me.
The people,
But
the
that's
people,
not a lot of money for to pay for $415 million bucks.
No,
in my
you're
opinion.
right. But to hear the other side, and I'm happy to advocate over here.
It's just not.
Yeah.
I'll pay it.
All the little stuff adds up.
Yeah.
And so especially with the economy and the interest rates and all the other doom and gloom you hear about money at this point, like people are seeing this $5, $10 a month added on to their perception of what they're already increased in spending or decreased in income or whatever. So,
I mean, if your property taxes, if your taxes every year are $8,000, what's 8,200 or 8120 or whatever?
hey, so you've told me before, man, $20 is $20.
Hey,
You weren't supposed to repeat that.
That's a whole
I've got a
nother
shirt that
podcast
says
right
that.
there. It's a whole nother podcast right there.
No. But
we accidentally got too serious there.
But
for
so
a
what
minute,
happens?
guys.
But what happens if that doesn't get voted in? What do you guys do? How do you handle the growth? You can't handle the growth without the money.
Well, I mean, that's just it, and I think they laid it out in the meeting where this was presented to the school board. We did vote to put this before the voters, and that's the other thing I like. I don't get to pick whether or not this passes. It's up to everybody out there. So the biggest thing is we need everybody to vote. We need their voice to be heard.
But what do
we
you
would
do if the population of Midlothian does not vote that money in for you guys to prepare for the growth?
Well, like Tim said, we're going to have to dig into some of that M&O money, which is the pot of money that we pay teachers out
Maintenance
of.
and operations.
Yes, maintenance operations. And eventually they showed us, the demographer comes and gives us reports of the growth. It's crazy the information that they have and can bring us and what they base it on. So the guys usually spot on. And so he tells us, and what'll happen is eventually we'll have to go to some of those portable buildings.
So it's like if you're mother,
Are you buying these buildings or are you just leasing them?
probably buying them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think buying them.
You wouldn't
because-
waste the money on
think
leasing them. I
Think about it
wouldn't
like this, Rob. Okay, your mother-in-law is elderly, and the family makes a decision that she needs to move in with you. Okay, and you have a full house. You have a bunch of kids already. All right, so you need to build a room onto your house to properly accommodate your mother. Okay, but let's say your wife, and I don't mean your wife specifically. Karen is such a sweetheart. I love her, but let's say your wife says, "Well, I don't want to spend the money on adding on to the house. So you know what? Let's just put mom up in a hotel for a few months.
Sure.
Okay. And so instead of getting that second mortgage on your house and adding on and building on, you're now paying out of your, like, you're not going to Starbucks, because you're paying for a hotel room, or you're not going out to Branded Burger every Wednesday Friends Day, right?
I'm sorry to tell you,
make cuts elsewhere, right?
We're still going to do Friends Day.
The reality is, hey, the reality is we live in Midlothian, and I'm sorry, you guys ran this on an average of $350,000 houses. The people that own these properties, $100 a year.
Let me correct myself. That was a $250,000 house, not a $350,000.
Okay,
Sorry.
well,
but still,
I mean,
it's easy math. If you have a $750, you times 3, right? So
$250,000 house in Midlothian?
Yeah,
Not
where's
anymore.
that at?
they exist.
Not anymore. I
They,
mean,
they
that's-
do. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
they do. Clark
yeah.
buys them all the time.
Yep.
Flips them for 700.
No. There are still plenty of like sub $300,000 houses in Midlothian.
Yeah, but not nice ones.
Not sub 200.
No.
I don't know.
You know what? At the end of the day, though, I would say, all these bonds. I encourage everybody to educate yourself.
Yes.
We were talking about this briefly earlier. That it's only been a good handful or so people that I've personally talked to that are dead set against it. But then when we further the conversation, they have absolutely no idea what the bonds are for.
And those two people do you find that those people are typically just against all bonds, period?
It seems to be that way because immediately because my first follow-up question is always going to be why? Why are you against this bond? And do you know what it does? And like I said, these specific people, I don't know, but all I know is it's going to raise my taxes. That's like the number one main response. So I'm like, well, just educate yourself. And that's with anything, obviously, but especially something this important for our city. I love Midlothian, and I'm sure we can all say the same thing.
It is important, though.
It's extremely important. I, as a taxpayer, my kids go here. Well, one kid now, my daughter just graduated last year, but I'm very invested with our school district. I love what we do. I love our teachers. I want to say I greatly appreciate everybody. But educate yourself. Whether you vote for it or against it, at least have some kind of foundation for why you're doing.
See, now you're
one or
just
the other.
sounding like me, man. Vote informed.
Well, yeah, vote
exactly.
informed, but at the
That's the
same
big thing,
time, a lot of this is not something that is really even
This stuff's
an
complicated.
option. Okay, you're gonna build 6,000 homes. You need a couple elementary schools to add, especially if they're already capacity. So what you do is you get the boys down at City Hall working, lower your city taxes so you can offset
Well,
the
they can't,
$5
they can't lower the city taxes
Why
enough
can't
to
they?
offset.
Yes, they
Because
are. Let me tell you, I'm
offset
not mentioning
school
any names.
Because
Sir, until they bring my
school-
Chipotle, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
okay?
that's true. No,
I want Cane's chicken.
The school tax is
I'll
the
go for
vast majority of your property tax.
It is.
The vast majority of it.
Well, if we get our tax rate, one of the candidates was talking about a tax rate down to what, like 65 cents or to 50, 54.
If you stopped collecting, there are years recently that if you stopped collecting city taxes, your taxes would still go up based on the value of your house having gone up that much. So, and you can lower them to 0, and sometimes your tax will still go up.
I don't know. I mean, you guys put these bonds together because it's something you need.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the great thing about it. I don't put it together even. See, that's the other
Yeah,
thing.
I guess
the,
you're
the
right.
Citizens, and that's the good thing. It's you've got teachers, you've got business owners.
And that's one thing that
So the bond committee came up with this.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
group of people that were selected by.
Well, I think they took volunteers.
Yeah, I think it was volunteers.
Yeah.
I know for a fact it
Community.
was because, believe it or not, I would have never done it. But I was even asked if I wanted to be on the. This was a year and a half ago or something.
Right. One of the great things about Midlothian, seriously, and we all love
Get in where
Midlothian,
you
but-
fit in.
Yeah, but one of the great things about Midlothian is both at the city level and the ISD put the final say of the bonds in the citizens' hands. There's the whole process to get the bond on the ballot, but some districts don't put the bonds on the ballot. I don't know if you know that. The school board, when they approve the bond, that's what approves the bond.
Yeah.
We vote for them directly. So we have more like a true democratic process here.
See, I think at the end of the day, this is going to be one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you didn't have these bonds, if you didn't see, I'm all about having game plans, having a plan, having a contingency plan to that plan. You know,
It's like you were in the military.
yeah,
Two is
You
one,
think?
two is one, and one is none.
exactly. You know, hope and pray for the best, but expect and prepare for the worst kind of deal.
Yep.
But say you didn't have these, and you pulled funds from other places, or you came up with some kind of other plan that was less feasible than this, people are still going to complain. You know, so at least this way you have a very detailed layout of these propositions of, hey, this is what we're proposing, this is what it's going to cost you or not cost you, and you know you're still going to have people complaining. So it's never going to be 100% foolproof. But I mean, me personally, I appreciate it. You know, I can understand and relate to that. So you know, like I said, I'm all for a good formulated game plan.
Yeah. It's always great to have a plan, regardless of the aspect.
You're
right?
doomed to fail if you don't, in my opinion. You know?
So you,
So, no, I was gonna say, you know, it's been, you guys have just really. There hasn't been much drama. It seems, with the exception of this calendar deal. You guys have been working hard. It's been quiet.
Things have calmed down a lot.
What happened? Where did all the excitement go?
Bonds are always going to be controversial because you're asking to borrow money, and some people are just always dead set against that, and that's fine. I respect that viewpoint. You know, some people also view that there's no alternative to that because of the current system. Fine, but that was like the big deal. But they structured these bonds so straightforward that, you know, most people are probably going to vote yes on A, and then who knows if B and C are going to get it, honestly. But I think most people are going to see the value in Proposition A.
Well, if there's no tax, if A and C is just no tax impact, then that's a no-brainer. You vote for those no matter what.
Well, yeah, but I mean, C is sports stuff, and there are going to be people who just won't vote for sports stuff.
Because
that,
I
know.
get it, because we've
And-
got a
and-
lot
and
of.
that's fine. But you know, so again, like these are so straightforward. Like even like the only thing you can do is rant against bonds. You're not really taking issue with Proposition A individually. And so, you know, then as soon as the schedule thing came, just everybody was like, ooh, this is a big deal. It impacts my, actually, you know what? It will impact people's budget directly. Matter of fact, more so than I think. You know, you're talking who can't afford $5, $10 a month. And okay, fine. But you're talking about now, some people are going to have to get daycare, you know, at the cost of hundreds of dollars a month. Because of you know, not having a 5-day school week all the time. So
Yeah.
You can't please everybody.
right.
Well, and what you were saying about the drama on the board, I just want to say we have worked really hard as a school board team to, you know, be cohesive. And to one of the things we talked about, one of my favorite sayings is just the world's just gone mad. I mean, when I can't explain it, I'm like, the world's just gone mad, you know. But one of the things that we've talked about as a school board is that, you know, we are there to be the example. And I think one of the things that society has lost is the ability to disagree and resolve conflict, and in a professional manner. And even at the end of the day, when you don't agree with each other, still be, you know.
Well, that's what makes
good
it so
people.
unique. You can disagree respectfully. That's the way I was raised and taught. You know, I mean, that's adult stuff. That's
And you can
grown-up
even
stuff, you know?
campaign against somebody and still turn around and have to work with them at some point. I mean, you know, it is what it is.
And this may shock you, Rob, but you can have differing political views and be friends.
Oh, I know that.
Oh, you know what? I'm out of here. I can't.
Can't deal with this.
So we're going to wrap this up. But Chris, I want to thank you for coming on. Your time is very valuable. You are always out in the community, and you know, we're just, you know, our community is better for having you in it. I truly mean that, and you know, we treasure you as a friend also.
Amen.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Best $20 I ever spent. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey,
And-
$20
and
is
Tami-
$20.
So, anyways, okay, when's early voting start?
Oh man, it starts May. What is it?
April. Yeah.
April. I'm sorry. Yeah. When is it?
I love the surround sound.
Yeah, anybody can throw it out.
We employ a fact checker here, but what? 24th.
Okay,
it is April 24th.
April 24th.
Yeah.
Early voting starts. Election day is probably May 6th.
Yes.
Get out there and vote. I'm going to give you guys two people. I wasn't going to do this, but
Vote
I'm
for
going to.
Tammy. No.
Okay. I'm going to tell you.
I have a good feeling about
I'm
you.
giving you two
thank
picks. I'm voting for Justin Kaufman for mayor. And I'm voting for Tami Tobey for place 6.
And he's only lying about one of those because he's not in the city to vote for Justin. He just loves Justin that much. So.
And can
Rob
I
is
do,
his
Justin
boy.
loves me that much.
Hey,
can I do one shameless plug for
Absolutely.
Please do.
our
Please do.
Midlothian Education Foundation, which was founded to help support our teachers. And one of the main things they do is the teachers can apply for innovative teaching grants. Their biggest fundraiser is called Denim and Diamonds, and it's going to be at Bella Woods on the 30th of
Isn't
March.
Cody Cannon playing that?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I've seen him so
Yeah.
many times.
He was the cross.
He was the lead singer of Cross Canadian Ragweed.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I've seen him
Yeah.
with Cody Cannon and The Departed, and he'll still
Yeah.
do Alabama,
Yeah.
the song Alabama,
yeah. He's
fun.
and the Dimebag
another
Darrell. He
one.
wrote a song about Dimebag Darrell Pantera that's really good, and a few others. So he'll do old Cross Canadian songs, and then all of his new stuff. That'll be an event.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great event. So
Now,
if
is
you
that,
can do
is that-
Yeah.
It's on the 30th of March at 6 p.m. at Bella Woods Event Center.
Yeah. Well, and
Tickets required, or is that open
Yes,
to the
I
public?
think-
Oh, I'm sure he's expensive.
we'll-
to
yeah,
come.
we'll-
They-
I
they-
figured.
somebody's spending a lot of money
we'll
for
have
him to come
information
in.
on Midlothian Talk on that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I'd love to.
awesome.
I'd
But
love to
Tammy, I
attend
also wanted to thank you for coming on. You know, we really appreciate the sacrifice that you've made.
75
Seriously, for our community, serving the way you do. I know a lot of people don't know this, but you know, it is almost a full-time job that you get no pay for, and a lot of times no appreciation either. But we want you to know that we appreciate you.
Thank you.
and tickets are $75 a piece, by the way.
Yeah, because
Yes.
Cody's expensive. He's expensive.
Early
Anyways,
voting.
It sounds worth it.
Midlo-
Worth it.
Midlothian,
That's guaranteed a good show.
if you're watching this, click subscribe, leave some comments, give us some feedback. If you want to sponsor a show, reach out to Tim, write a check.
Yeah, and just to remind
Send
everybody,
money straight to Sergeant Hames Marshall. I
Hames
appreciate
Marshall.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll call you
Marshall.
and have you wire the money.
I appreciate it.
So just to remind everybody, early voting is April 24th through May 2nd, and the election day is May 6th.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you, John.
So if I didn't put that in there, my producer would yell at me. So
I just literally said that 15 seconds ago.
I know, but it's in front of me.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
All right, we're out. We'll see you guys next week. Tammy, thanks for coming.
Take care.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Hames,
God
it's
bless
been a
y'all.
pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Officer Captain America Chris Douglas, Midlothian, I love you, and I'm out of here.
We're out.